with the chapter 10, which is the fourth aliyah, because we start in the middle of the portion. So that Moshe has just recounted how the Jewish people sinned with the golden calf. He took the calf, ground it up, burnt it in the fire, made them drink from the waters with the ashes of the calf, and they all died, those who were sinned. And then he fell on his face before God, and finally God forgave him. And so, but we're now up to the point where God is about to forgive him. Moshe has come with many arguments to try and cause Hashem to forgive his people. Finally, chapter 10, verse 1. After making all these arguments, it says, at that time, Amar Hashem alai, Pesalacha shnei uchot avanim harishonim, Yahweh alai ha'ara v'asitocha aron eitz. At that time, Hashem said, carve for yourself 2 tablets of stone like the first ones, and come up to me in the mountain and make for yourself an ark out of wood. Now, what time is this? What time is this? So, where Moshe is supposed to go up the mountain. So, let's just go through the chronology so everybody can be aware of it. So, the chronology is as follows. Rabbi Yosef, we're in chapter 10, verse 1. This week, we're starting at 6:15, no longer 6:20. We're moving earlier. Moshe Rabbeinu comes down and breaks the tablets. What day was that? Well, he breaks the tablets on the 17th of Tammuz, because he went up the first time on Shavuot. Comes down 40 days after Shavuot. It's the 17th of Tammuz. He breaks the tablets, goes back up on the 18th, the next day, and he's begging God not to destroy the Jewish people. He comes down, God decides not to destroy the people, and God tells him, go up again and carve for yourself new tablets. When does he go up? Third time. When does he go up again? Because he came down, he went up on the, let me just say it again. He goes up on Shavuot. He stays up to the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. Comes down 40 days later, he sees them worshiping the golden calf and he breaks the tablets. That is the 17th of Tammuz. Then, the next day, God's about to destroy the Jewish people. He goes up to the mountain. He argues for complete forgiveness. And God kind of forgives him, them. He goes down after 40 days, and God says, okay, now I'm going to tell you what to do. Go up and carve for me a new set of tablets. Carve for yourself. What day is that? That's 40 days after the 18th of Tammuz that he's supposed to go. He comes down after 40 days, and the next day he's told to go back up and carve new tablets. What day is that? That's Rosh Chodesh Elul, the first day of the month of Elul. And then 40 days later, he comes down and there's a complete forgiveness. And what day is that? Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur. Those are the times he goes up. So altogether, how many times has he gone up? He's gone up 3 times. Shavuot for 40, 18th of Tammuz for 40, and then Rosh Chodesh Elul for 40. He's gone up the mountains 3 times. That's how Rashi understands it. Rashi says,
without any days in between, like.
Yeah, he has the night in between. He goes up the next day each time. 120 days from Shavuot until Rosh Hashanah, until Yom Kippur. So that's what Rashi says. Ba'iti at that time was so far ba'im yom, at the end of 40 days, Nisrat Sali, he agreed to me. This is in the middle 40 days, from the 17th of the 18th of Tammuz. The end of 40 days, he said to me, Pesolacha, he said, carve for yourself. And afterwards, he's going to say, Vasitocha Aron, make for yourself a wooden ark. Vani asiti Aron tefillah. Shekesha avo va'uchot biyadi echon etneim. But Moshe says, I had made the ark first, because when I would come and the tablets would be in my hand, where would I put them? Now Rashi is telling us this was not the ark. The ark that Moshe made now to put the tablets in. Hello, Naomi. Here's maybe grab a chumash there, Aviva, or Naomi. Hey, Naomi, join us. So the ark that Moshe made there is not the same ark of that Bezalel made to put in the Mishkan. It's a different ark. Shari Mishkan loaned to Askubo, for they did not see. They weren't dealing with the Mishkan because what happened was they didn't have a commandment to build the Mishkan until after Yom Kippur. It was only after Yom Kippur that God commanded them to build the Mishkan. First, Bezalel made the Mishkan, and then afterwards did he make the utensils for the Mishkan. So Bezalel didn't make the utensils before the Mishkan because it says, Bezalel said, you don't build the furniture and then the house. Doesn't make sense. So therefore, this was a different ark. So there were at least two arks. One ark was in the Mishkan, and one ark was this one that Moshe brought up to bring the tablets down in, or to store those tablets until the Mishkan was built. This ark would go with them into battle. The ark that Bezalel made, it only went into battle in the time of Eli in 1 Samuel chapter 4, and there it was captured. The Philistines captured the ark, and then they got the hemorrhoids, and they got all sorts of problems because they captured the ark, right, their idols fell down. There, Steve, you're holding. So basically, this was a different ark. So Moshe had to make this ark for the tablets. Well, what was the plan for the first set of tablets? Didn't he already have an ark in existence for the first set of tablets? No, he didn't. It doesn't say this. It's for the second tablet. So what was his plan for the first one? Rabbi Yosef, you ever think about that? I'm just thinking about that now.
There's a note here that says the first tablets were not the handiwork of man.
The first tablets were made by God, that's true, but so to say they didn't need an ark?
And maybe God provided the ark.
It didn't say that they provided the ark. It said Moshe was coming down with the tablets in his hand. Clearly wasn't carrying the ark.
No, but God could start the ark on the ground where Moses was going.
So we could say that, but it doesn't say that anywhere.
No,
No, I'm saying we could be speculating that's right. So, Rabbi Yosef, did you have an answer to that?
No, I nodded my head. No, I never thought about it.
Okay, let me take a question. Naomi, everything okay? Are you coming closer? I was saying tonight we're studying Torah. Naomi has yahrzeit tonight for her husband, Hal Brodsky, of blessed memory, who taught me so much about the Torah, the Haftorah, and her son, Josh Brodsky, who I knew also, very sweet man, very nice boy. So we're studying Torah in their memory. So, okay. So we're on chapter 10. We've only done one verse so far. And we're speculating where was the ark? Where was the ark for the first tablets? But we're on a tangent. Okay, so we're chapter 10, verse 2. And it says, and I shall write on the tablets. God said to me to make the two stones, the tablets, and make an ark, and I should write on the tablets those matters. The same things, the words that were on the first tablets that you broke, the Sam to Aaron, and you shall place those tablets in this ark. Maybe the first tablets didn't need an ark. It must not have needed one. It was, what? That's a good question, where you would put them. We have here our friend Michael. Michael is Yortzei for his father, his mother, and then it's his birthday tomorrow, and then he has Yortzei for his father. Yes, Mordechai.
It's under discussion, 10.5, it says that Moses created it. That was a different,
Moses created an ark for the second tablets.
the second set of tablets is the one that Solomon.
No, Betzalel didn't create the tablets. Betzalel created a second ark, but that ark was for the Mishkan. But the ark for the second tablets, Moshe made. But I was asking, where were the first tablets supposed to go? They've not answered that. I haven't seen an answer, but I'm sure there is a lot of discussion of it. It's a defect, but I'm unaware. Okay, so we continue. Okay, so then the verse tells us, okay, Va'as Aaron atzei shitim. Oh, you asked, where does he get acacia wood? So somebody asked, well, where is he going to get the wood to make the ark? How's he going to make the ark out of acacia wood? Where is he going to find the acacia wood in the wilderness? Somebody asked that question, right? So first of all, there is a tree in the wilderness called the acacia tree, which you'll see a lot of it. But it's hard to imagine that that's the same acacia wood, because that wood is really dingy. And the Talmud itself anticipates that there are 10 types of wood that are called acacia wood. The Talmud understands that it's like a generic term, and there's a lot of specific different examples of it. Second of all, they got stuff that didn't grow in the wilderness. They were in commerce. They had business arrangements. They were selling and doing business and buying. We know this. They said, we'll buy your water and we'll buy your bread. You know, we remember they said this. So they were paying for, they were in business. They were businessmen. You know, they were businessmen. So they could easily just go on Amazon and order some wood and get the wood from the local merchants. That wouldn't be a problem either, Steve.
Except.
Yeah. So, okay, so it says, I shall make the wood out of acacia wood, and then I went up the mountain with these 2 tablets like the first time, and I went up the mountain, and the 2 tablets are in my hand. So when he goes up the mountain the second time, he has 2 stone tablets that look like the first ones, but they're not yet written until he goes up the mountain. Now, what were the Gemara tells us what the shape of these tablets were. Does anybody know what the shape of the tablets were?
Square.
They were square, 1 amma by 1 amma. So one of the reasons why Seth might have known it is because Chabad is very makbid about that they maybe in 770, I don't know what it looks like, but they don't like the tablets on the Aron Kodeshes that look like oval or whatever.
Don't tell Charles.
Tablet, yeah, they don't like that because it's inconsistent with the Talmud, which says that the tablets were, I think, 1 amma by 1 amma, 18 inches by 18 inches, which is square. So it's inconsistent with that. So it's big enough. So and he wrote on the tablets. So he inscribed on the tablets. Who's he wrote here? He wrote on the tablets like the first ones of the 10 Commandments. The God spoke to you from the mountain, from the middle of the fire, on the day of the congregation. He gave it to me. So Moshe hewed the tablets, and God must have written them.
It's pretty clear that God wrote them.
What?
It says, and then God
He wrote the tablets. God wrote the tablets.
Because Moses says, I made the ark,
I-
I carried them up, and he wrote them.
Yeah, he
Who
wrote
else
on
is
them.
he?
God. Yes,
So, I mean, Rashi doesn't comment on this at all on.
right.
Before, but there are two obvious questions that seem that you might want to be asked. One, the Torah specifically says to be shown just like the first. So, first of all, it wasn't just like the first because the writing was different. And if it's talking about the actual inscription of the way Hashem did the miracle of the names where you could look at them from both sides,
Yeah.
is that what it's talking about? That it's exactly like the first, that it was the same miracle? There's no comment at all on.
What does it mean like the first ones? No, the assumption is, well, why did you say it wasn't like the first ones? Are you assuming that this, I'm asking, are you assuming, I'm assuming that you're assuming, which is not right. Are you assuming that the first tablets reflected the text of Exodus and the second reflected the text of Et Hanan? That's not the assumption that that I think Chazal makes. Chazal assumed that it was not like that. That it was not like that. That's a question. Which did it say on the Ten Commandments on the tablets? Did it say Zachor or Shamar?
Right.
They asked that question. So they assume it. I think they assume it was Zachor, but I have to. You guys are getting me a lot today. I'm not on top of it. Okay, but it's a very good question, Seth. What does it mean exactly like the first one? But that would seem to be that they didn't have two sets. That it wasn't the second one on a second version of the second one, but it was the exact same as the first version. Even though we have some minor discrepancies, we discussed last week, 17 words to be exact between the first commandments and the second commandments. Okay. So then the verse tells us. Oh, wait, somebody asked me what time info was. He said 6:50, and I'm like, no, actually 6:45. Oops. Okay. So now the verse tells us, "Va'efen va'irei min hahar," and I went down and I turned from the mountain. Va'asim et haruchot ba'aron, and I placed the tablets in the ark asher asiti that I made. Va'yusham ka'asher sivani Hashem, and they were there like God commanded me. So Moshe, now we understand the logistical issue. Moshe did not take the ark up the mountain; he just took the stones. Now, this is good because I can't imagine the logistics. Moshe, we've seen that cave, which they assume Moshe went to. They had to do like major rappelling to get there. And the place they call like Elijah's cave. And Moshe was at this point 81 years old. So, I mean, Michael could do it, but Moshe Rabbeinu might not have been in great shape as you, Michael. And to have to carry an ark as well must have been challenging. Must have been challenging.
Are you assuming you carried the ark?
No, I'm saying he didn't carry. It says the ark remained below. He went down and he put it in the tablets in the ark, which was down. See, when I wrote the Torah on Har Sinai, we had to get the desk up the mountain. We put it on a camel. That was a big to do. Okay. So Bnei Yisrael nasu, and now all of a sudden we go on a tangent. Bnei Yisrael nasu mi be'irot Bnei Yakan Mosera. Bnei Yisrael traveled from the wells of Bnei Yakan to Mosera. Sham made Aaron. There Aaron died. Vayikaver Sham, and he was buried there. This is all of a sudden we jumped 39 years. You see what's going on here? The children of Israel then traveled from Beirut Bnei Akan to Mosera. First of all, this is not the exact place where it says Aaron died prior to that. Second of all, this is 39 years later. Aaron didn't die right then. He died at the end of their time in the wilderness. and he was buried there, and there Elazar, his son, became the Kohen in his place. We'll just read the next pasuk first, because Rashi comments on the two verses together. It says, Misham Nasu Hagudgoda, from there they traveled to Gudgoda, and from Gudgoda, Yatzvasa to Yatzvat, Eretz Nachai Mayim. And then just these two verses are out of context. We'll go back and read the Rashi in a second. And then it says, and at that time, God separated the tribe of Levi. Goes back to the very beginning, that after the golden calf and the tablets, God set aside the tribe of Levi. So there's these two verses in between, which are completely out of context, which Rashi is going to have to address. I know the tribe of Levi, they were selected because they were the ones who rose to the challenge of defending God and Moshe after the sin of the golden calf. They took their knives and they went around and they did the dirty work, the hard job that people don't like to do. You know about that scene where he says, "Who is to God, come to me," and the tribes of Levi took their knives. Yes. Yeah, well, then it came down, it was Yom Kippur. So they worshipped Yom Kippur, but they didn't have a Mishkan yet. So let's see what Rashi says. So this is a very, very interesting story. The children of Israel journeying from the wells of Bnei Akan to Mosera. What are these verses doing here? It's completely out of context. If we were not studying it verse by verse, if we were just like looking for nice, cute Divrei Torah to give in as a sermon, we would never come upon these verses because nobody else would ever talk about it. It's not, like the topic du jour, right? So, but we need to know it. And then the second problem is, did they travel from the wells of Bnei Akan to Mosera? Second problem is that from Mosera, they went to Bnei Akan, as it states in at the end of Book of Bamidbar. By Yisumi Mosera. So they traveled from Mosera to Bnei Akan. And a third problem, Shamet Aaron didn't die in Bnei Akan. He died in Hor HaHar. Hor HaHar mate. But Aaron died in Hor HaHar. So what's going on? There are three major textual contradictions. So therefore, Rashi says, Tzevecha Shev, go and calculate the Timtzah Shmona Masaot Moserot to Hor HaHar. There were 8 journeys from Moserot to Hor HaHar. So Ella Avzu Minatochecha. This is part of the rebuke, and since it's a rebuke, it was given in veiled language. As it states, Va'od asitem zot. You did this too. Meaning to say, this wasn't the only time you did this, that you sinned with the golden calf, or you sinned against with idolatry. Kishemes Aaron Bohor Ahar, so far by Shanav, and the Stalkwa and the Kavod, Yeresim Lachem Lachem Asmel Harad, Unitatem Rosh Lachzoram Mitzrayim, Vachazartem Lacharechem Shmona Masaot, Umisham Masera, Sham Nelchamu Bachem Bnei Levi, Vargumikem Batem Mehem. And so I'll just stop here. This is not the only time when the tribe of Levi had to slaughter their brothers. The one time when the tribe of Levi was called into action and they did battle and they slaughtered was after the golden calf. But there was another time, Rashi's telling us, and that's why this verse is here. Because after Aaron died, the children of Israel went back 8 journeys. They were running away. They said, without Aaron, we're toast. And they were running backwards. They had enough. And the tribe of Levi, their job was to hold the line. So they went back and they slaughtered their brothers. They said, Sham nilchamu b'chem b'nei Levi, v'hargu mekem v'atem mehem, and you killed some of them. There's another civil war between Levi and the rest of the people. So there were 2 civil wars between the Levites. Steve is a Levite, Michael is a Levite, Michael Weissman, Mordechai is a Levite. We got a lot of Levites here, but they are all calm. They're calm people. And I don't think, to the best of my knowledge, they don't have swords on them, but if called upon, they would serve. So,
That's right.
if called upon, they would serve. So that's the story that so that's what happened. And Misham Chazartim Agugoda from Moseri went back to Kugoda, who Chor Agugod, which is the same as Chor Agugod, Menagoda Yatvasa. The Mosera Asitem Evel Kaved Al Mitaso Shal Aaron. And in Moseri made a huge mourning for the death of Aaron. Shegarmo Chamzot. That's where you start to mourn for Aaron in Mosera. Even though he died in Har, you mourn from there, so it's as though he died there. Meaning to say, the disaster of mourning which occurred from Aaron's death occurred at Mosera. It was so great that it was as if Aaron had died there.
Rabbi, in Parshat Pinchas, Rashi tells us that there was 7 families missing from the people of Israel, and 5 from Benjamin and 2 from Gad, and also that there were missing families from Levi. So when he says Kama Mikem, they're big numbers. Like, it's unbelievable, but he just.
There's a lot of civil wars. We don't like to talk about it. It's not our finest moments, but there's a lot of blood shed from brother and brother to get to the point where we became a unified Bnei Israel. There was a lot of intent, and even once they get into the land, right away after Joshua dies, there's another attempt at a civil war. They marched on each other, but Korads prevailed at that time. Do you have anything to add, Michael? Nothing. Okay, let me just finish this Rashi. Moshe put this rebuke of the Bnei Israel next to the breaking of the tablets to say, to tell us that when a righteous one dies, it's as difficult before God as the day the tablets were broken. And it's to inform you that when they said, let us appoint a head and separate for him, meaning to say when they said that on the day of the spies, where they said, let's appoint a head and depart, that was as bad. That was as bad as the day they made the golden calf. A lot of this is a hidden war. You could do this as a trivia question. The hidden war of hidden civil war people don't talk about. Okay, we'll stop here. I want to pick this up tomorrow. This week 6:15 at the Rashi.